So, Bubby has been throwing up lately, and I don't know why. And
If you had to get a babysitter because some stud wanted to fuck you all night long, but the only babysitter available was Jimmy Saville.
this is my life with you and my dog a little bit.
It's not clear that he actually did what he said, or he's alleged to have done. It's not completely clear, but the guy that's going to dick you down is like amazing. So would you take the risk?
Are you saying this as a reflection of me leaving my dog with you?
No, pretend you have a real human child that you have to leave with Jimmy Saville.
No, I wouldn't do that.
Would it make a difference if the child had already been molested?
Stop. Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter because it's already happened.
I would not.
Do you think parents that have already had a child molested are like, well, they do less background checks on people because they're like, it happens again, spilled milk. You know what I mean?
Horrible.
Like, why? Like, I don't know. Do you want to talk about your dating in Al Qaeda first, or the Mario Batali thing you want to talk about? I don't even know what that's about.
No, I think I've gushed enough about my my weekend.
Yeah, but you didn't gush on the podcast. That's the reason we're doing it. Is so that other people...
I'm feeling like I should keep more things private, though. I feel like one day...
It's kind of hard to be private when you have a profile on eros.com. And your pictures aren't blurred out.
Shut up.
What's going on with Mario Batali?
So I read this.
I'm not on Tinder. I'm on Seeking Arrangement. What? Sorry?
Stop. So I read this headline today where a woman was like...
Is that comfortable how you're seated? Like that would kill me.
I need to adjust to everybody in my life constantly.
Like that's like one of those positions that women maybe feel comfortable in because like the bones for like child rearing or something. But like if I was in that position, I would like my back would just like say kill me.
Really?
Yeah, like my you know what I want to do? I don't really want to lie down, but I also don't want to sit. So I'm just gonna dig my elbow into the ground and do a plank in perpetuity. That's what it feels like.
Yeah.
Or worse, I'm not going to do a plank. I'm just going to let my side just cave in and have a giant U shape to my body with my elbow penetrating the hard pavement. That feels comfortable.
No, Mario.
What did he do? Me Too?
Yeah. So a woman went on trial.
That's what someone sort of said about Fred Savage. He's off the Wonder Years remake or something.
And by the way, like Mario, really? Fred Savage?
Yeah. I hope he's not off the Monsters remake because I really like that movie.
You would.
The like monsters under the bed.
Andrew Benevento.
Oh my God. I had friends that were monsters when I was a kid. Like they were like... They were. I had protection. Like I was like the mafia. Like the monsters in my room protected me against the bad monsters, and we had like a deal and alliance. Instead of my teddy bears, like Bedtime Bear and Mr. Snake, we all had like deals with these people, these entities, and probably it was some sort of insidious shit. But I was too young to really get how severe it was. I was just like, all right, Mr. Snake, have you had the meeting today at 1:00 with the monsters? Okay, how did that go? So you're saying I'm going to have a dream tonight about E.T. flushing me down the toilet again? Is that going to happen? They're going to make sure it doesn't? It's on you, Mr. Snake, if E.T. flushes me down the goddamn toilet again. I used to have a recurring dream in October every year when I was a child of E.T. flushing me down the toilet. Eventually I made a pact with him and said, hey, man, I don't want any problems. And then he and I just became friends.
Do you want to hear about Mario or?
Yeah.
What? Okay. So a woman went on trial, and said that, this is what really got me, is that she said,
what did she say?
So she said, she was shocked and appalled that he,
Fred Savage,
groped.
No,
Mario
Batali.
Yeah. So that he groped and kissed her. at some restaurant, it was like some, like, I guess behind the chef curtain grope. But I'm like, for me, I'm like, how are you shocked? And he looks like a Harvey Weinstein. Like he was rolling in that creep club for quite a while. Like you were shocked.
So what did he do? He grabbed her tits and kissed her?
So yeah, gropey, kissy. But I'm like,
and what did she do?
I didn't.
She was
read
just
the
frozen
full
like
thing,
a deer.
But I was laughing that she would be shocked and appalled. I'm like, he looks a little like you'd be a groper. Like, how would you? I wouldn't be as shocked.
Do you know what's interesting about a lot of those
I'd
Me
just
Too
stay away
things
from
is
Mario.
the deer in the headlights? Like, I understand of like a powerful man and I understand all this, but it is interesting that some of the ones that are less like Lucy Kay masturbating in front of you and you feel like you can't leave, you have to watch him finish. That's like, if he did that to me, I would be like, oh, I'm good, I'll just leave. And I could be like an upstart comedian, same position of power, like he's more powerful than me, and feel like I don't need to wait. He can like picture me in his head. He can picture me in his head, and he doesn't need me to sit there, like in the stand. Like I'm here. He has me in his head. I can leave. I wouldn't feel like, oh, if I don't stay here, watch him finish, he might like not let me do open mics. Like I wouldn't think anything of that. It's weird.
I mean, it's I don't know. I just don't get how it's such like
it's the
there's
same
certain
story
men that I
over
look
and over
at,
again.
and I'm like,
you just what are you doing? Oh, hey.
Yeah, like if I was squeezing between like a
guys don't do that. They don't like squeeze your tits like the first time they grope you.
No, if I was
like grab your ass or something.
Squeezing between like a hallway with Mario Batali, I would expect some rubbing, like some. I wouldn't choose that hallway, and I would definitely know that he is like there's a possibility.
You could probably push him off you, but the weird
he just
thing,
looks like a wine.
Just imagine, like, picture a woman just like her tits are being groped, and she's just like, oh, and he's like, pasta, tagliatelle, and you're just like, I don't know what's happening, and it's just like, what the fuck? It's not really like that.
Yeah. Well, he looks. Do you ever watch The Simpsons? Obviously, you know what it is, right?
Yeah.
So he looks like the comic book guy, the store owner, like especially
Apu.
now that he's
Apu.
No, that's the gas station guy. There's like a comic book character that Mario Batali looks exactly like the older that he gets. Even
he
younger.
looks like a comic book character in The Simpsons, which we've established is already a comic book. So it's not Apu. Who is he?
I don't know. Look it up right now. I don't know. I can't remember.
Because I don't know what to look up. Comic book guy. You mean the guy that's obsessed with the comics?
Yeah, the one who's
comic
always
book
like,
store.
Well,
actually,
yeah,
that is a first edition Spider-Man meets X-Force, one of a kind.
Yeah, that guy. I know him.
Yeah, he looks like Mario Batali.
He's a handsome guy. I don't know. No, I think so. Let's talk about the Al Qaeda. Talk about your rendezvous with the Al Qaeda and their recruitment of you.
Stop it. I can't keep talking to you about this. I feel like I'm too truthful where like I am going to let slip this podcast to one of them and then they're going to hear you.
The odds that someone that you're dating in Al Qaeda is going to listen to this podcast is like
they're very
the
jealous
odds
people.
of me going back in time and having a threesome with Anna Karenina. No, that's wrong. Anna Karina and Jacqueline Bisset at the Punta Trafalgar suite in Monaco.
They're jealous people. If they knew about it, one of them would listen on a late night and go, "What's the fuck?" Whore. That was a mighty eye roll for them.
Why would you be being on the podcast? It's too much. They have to isolate your voice. Mm-hmm. Know that it's you. Assume like Also, you're cheating on these members of Al Qaeda all the time. That's on you. So if they decide to strap a bomb to your chest and say, "Go frolic amongst the infidels and blow up because you deserve it, you
with
whore."
Your infidelity.
Yeah. It's better than being stoned to death, I think. Like being bombed, like self-bombing. That's better. It's fast, quick. It's very, very, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I mean, it was a good weekend, though. It was.
Austin, Texas is becoming the first city to test a taxpayer-funded guaranteed income program. Austin joins 28 U.S. cities like Los Angeles and Chicago and Pittsburgh to try out some form of guaranteed income. What's there to try out?
What was the first part of what you said? Sorry.
Oh, taxpayer-funded guaranteed income program. Austin's trying it out along with 28 other cities. Under a year-long $1 million pilot program, Austin City Council will send monthly checks of $1,000 to 85 needy households. First off, it's $1 million program, and they're only sending out $85,000.
Yeah. So
the program funded with taxpayer dollars is $1 million. I'd like a $250,000 plan of taxpayer money to study where the $925K for the guaranteed money program went. And when I find out that only $1,500 of the $250K that I allocated to my study actually went to finding out where the $925K went, perhaps I'll just find the tallest building in Texas, a ranch house probably, jump off, break my legs, and try again.
Yeah, that's.
If you're going to give out free money, there's nothing to test. People will just use it.
Yeah.
It's like heroin. We've seen housing vouchers where I'm from, Washington, D.C. Families have gone on housing vouchers at certain times, difficult times, tough times. They never get off them. 97% of people, of families on housing vouchers never get off. Why would you? Yeah. It's free. Right. It makes your rent less permanently, if you so desire. The subsidization of large swaths of U.S. populace with universal minimum income will destroy the middle class and create a two-class system, the subsidized and the rich. Somehow I think Hulu will be part of that, a Hulu subscription. Otherwise, people will riot. Will be part of the subsidized per diem. You might even get pure heroin, like in Aldous Huxley's Brave New World, the Somas. I don't know what the final bill says. They're still working it out. But preliminary speaking, these officials are working on probably free heroin and Hulu and maybe Brendan Schaub comedy specials, unlimited, for the duration of his existence on Netflix, which is not really that good of, well, maybe he'll improve. Maybe he'll improve.
You know, I've never seen anything that he's done. I don't think, at least he didn't he didn't look familiar. Maybe a voice usually cues me in.
There are a lot of people that are not talented that are in positions of power, and you can't really ridicule them for it. So what am I supposed to say? I'm supposed to say that a guy that like knows some very successful, talented people and is good friends with them, rolled with the right friends, right people, made the right connections, and is successful now, even though he's lacking in talent in a career that there are very successful people in terms of being good at stand-up, but not necessarily monetarily successful yet. And he's kind of like usurped them. I don't know whether what Bobby Lee and his wife are saying is true about like.
Well, it wasn't just them though. It was the other comedian on her podcast as well. Annie, what is it? Lindemann.
Annie Letterman with a D, not like T's, like David.
Can you imagine if he had a daughter who was a comedian and how?
I can't imagine anyone with a father that has $1 billion as a woman, a daughter, doing anything.
Yeah. Well,
I just don't. Except hanging out by the pool all day and sucking dick like a champ. That's what they'd be good at.
Yeah. So, what was I gonna say? Quit You
It's
have been
on. The mic is
me
catching
this
it.
whole-
The mic is catching it.
Well, I don't know why I'm itchy. It's probably some creek brewing disease from Bubby running around the creek.
It's not.
So, what was I gonna say? What the fuck? You judged me and derailed me. You're just very judgy. I need to sit
Annie
up,
Letterman.
not itch. Annie Letterman said that he Schwab tried to hit on her by asking her to come out to his truck. Like, that was his line, like, come check out my truck. And she was like, no.
What came first? Was this thing that came? First of all, every guy's done that. Every guy has said,
but a truck is such like a
forget a truck.
Really?
His car that was really expensive. She mentioned that it was like more expensive than like the house that she lived in if she could afford to buy it. That's the comment she made. So like, if you were at work, eventually you'll be like close to people that you would normally not ever so incestuous about work. You're close to people that you never really would sleep with otherwise, but you end up doing so because you're at work. The same thing happens for people that you wouldn't normally sleep with at work, that all of a sudden you get a little drunk and you say, hey, you forget that they are not people you're attracted to, not people you would sleep with, but you had something you did in like a get-together situation, someone that you work with, and you're horny and you say, you want to like come to my car. Every single guy ever has done that. That doesn't make them a predator. I'm not saying that Brendan Schaub isn't a predator, but it doesn't necessarily make them a predator.
No.
I'm not defending him. I'm seeing men in general do this stuff all the time.
I don't think they were bringing it up as a predator. I think his reaction was so outlandish to it, where these girls were like laughing at him. And
you talking about lawsuits? What are you talking about? What is his reaction?
The comedians, like his backlash at like the podcast and like these female comedians pretty much just making fun of him for it, and him being like, and like
what is his response? What do you mean?
Well, his response was calling Bobby Lee apparently and trying to like tell him to like tame his woman and like threatening him that they had evidence through like 300
But didn't Annie say this
evidence.
publicly herself? How did this come out? Didn't he also hit on Bobby Lee's wife while they were married?
Yeah.
Like, what is that? That's insane. And then like someone said didn't happen. He went on the Flagrant 2 podcast, Andrew Schultz's podcast, and kind of like, he is not a tenured veteran of the stage or the screen or anything. I'm pretty sure he was knocked out most of his career in MMA. He's not an elite person in anything he's done. So it doesn't mean he can't be a good comedian or he can't be like tenured, but interviews are this kind of the same thing. If you ask like an actor or something other than Amber Heard some questions, they have the ability to like come across as like believable to a degree. And it helps if they're not lying. Again, Johnny Depp versus Amber Heard. But Brendan Schaub really was, I guess he's embarrassed that he hit on women that were comics. He's embarrassed that in retort, somehow this came out, that they made fun of his skills as a comedian, which are still being formed. See, his celebrity and his platform are further along than his abilities at a profession that they mean Louis C.K., a bunch of other people, Richard Pryor, Jerry Seinfeld, takes 10 to 15 years to get good at. And he's in year 2, but he already has 2 specials, one of which is on Showtime. So I don't know how this came about. Like, I'm not clear. It came out that he hit on women. It came out that he hit on Bobby Lee's girlfriend. And then somehow he threatened Bobby Lee and had other comedians on the phone, other podcasters specifically, threaten Bobby Lee. I don't know why. I don't get that. I don't really understand what the threat was.
Well,
like
he
can't stop Andy Letterman.
He's like a 50-year-old tiny goofy like Asian comedian. Like, what is the threat?
What came out
you are
first?
An
what is the
fighter.
thing? Like did Kayla or Kyla, or did she talk shit first about how Brendan Schaub has been a known philanderer, like kind of chauvinist, which isn't a legal thing to do. It's perfectly legitimate to be a man whore. That's perfectly fine, and fail at it. It's fine. That most men fail, even Brad Pitt looking motherfuckers.
Yeah, I think from what I read, Annie went and said something in a stand-up. I think that's how it began, and then it was talked about on the podcast after. So it was like, I don't know if that was the first.
And then Kayla brought up the story about her with Bobby Lee. And then they called Bobby Lee and said you could take care of your girl. Is that how it went?
I think so.
But they threatened with lawsuits. There was like a team. Brendan Schaub's team contacted Bobby Lee directly, and there were multiple people in the industry that are famous on that phone. I don't know who they are. Yeah. This episode is brought to you by Keeps. My friend Joe wished that he had started Keeps earlier, but he didn't, and now he's bald. He also yelled at Bobby Lee and said, "You better not threaten my boy Brendan Schaub." I'm not going to say who Joe is. I'm just kidding. But that's what I wonder is like who was on this call? These famous people kind of like threatening. Like what is? It's the package. Is it was it Brian Callen who all he can do is threaten people over a phone because he's like 5'5"? He's a little midget person that has like a bizarre little ego thing. Like he's like, if you threaten me, man, I'll kill you. I'm like, I could like throw you across the lawn and probably like place legitimate bets as to whether I could throw you from one side of my lawn to the other and get you into the backyard over someone else's fence. Like I think people would place money on me. Like that would be like I'd get good odds. Like that's the type of people that were threatening Bobby Lee, who's a tenured veteran of the comedian world of Mad TV and making tens of thousands of dollars a month on his podcast. Like what is there to threaten? And so Brendan Schaub retracted or backtracked or tried to slow things down in terms of how severe or crazy this stuff was, which Kayla, or Bobby Lee's wife, can't pronounce her name, said was no big deal, except that they weren't going to talk about it anymore after Kayla, I guess, brought it up with Annie Letterman, and then Brendan Schaub brought it up on the
This
Flagrant
is when
2.
it gets very high school. Like I watched.
It's good fodder for their careers. So it's hard to believe is this really a thing? Like, is this like a thing?
And they're obviously like the cool.
Is he offended by the fact that they made fun of his abilities as a man whore and a comedian?
In a high school would be like the cool girls who could make fun of a guy and make him feel bad, even if he's an ex.
Well, he's a handsome guy. Brendan Schaub's a tall, handsome guy. Yeah. I don't think he's a.
He's not clever enough for that
group of women. He's not clever enough for anyone.
Caliber.
I mean, he's not a Rhodes Scholar. He got his head bashed in for a living, and when he wasn't good at that, he tried comedy, and he's still learning, and yet he does have a platform that makes him really successful. So I don't know. I don't know. Whatever. Who cares? As long as you're not really threatening people. If you're really threatening people's career over the fact that your wife, like.
Well, that's what essentially happened. Like he threatened.
It's hearsay. It's hearsay. Like I don't know that to be true. Bobby Lee also said this happened years ago with something similar, where he's been like threatened. Like people think he's like a pushover. He does come across as a pushover. He does come across that way. Like he's not a guy who's like. He's not Joe Rogan, who I'm also pretty sure I could throw across, like someone else's lawn. People would put money on me to throw him across. I mean, I'm 6'6", 225 pounds. I'm pretty sure I could throw Joe Rogan. He would be like a little.
What's that round track ball that's really heavy?
Oh, you mean like the shock put thing?
Yeah, he would be like a little Joe Rogan shock put.
That would be interesting if I could put Joe Rogan on my shoulder and spin around in a circle 5 times and throw him really far. Like that should be an Olympic thing. Like how far can you throw Joe Rogan? The liberals that hate him should make that a sport and force him to do it. It's a form of indentured servitude for making all that money. You know, it's like the entertainment world's supposed to be a place of liberals, not like ambiguously like not left or right Joe Rogan. That's unacceptable. You have to play the ball. So you should be pro Biden all the way. Guys like him, guys like Elon Musk that have broken the mold, like, you know, former liberals that are kind of like, well, they're free speech. They're breaking up the whole game, and people don't like them for it.
Yeah, well, good for them.
Let's see here. Where are we right now? Oh yeah, the Alabama deputy and inmate who escaped together were finally captured by U.S. Marshals on Monday. Their Cadillac was flipped over by some sort of like driving MacGyver maneuver by the U.S. Marshals.
It was flipped over.
Flipped over.
By
Yeah,
it?
they forced it to flip. Vicky White, the former corrections officer,
that seems not right.
They do that all the time, but if provided no one else can get hurt on the road, they'll do that. They probably closed the road down ahead, miles ahead, and did it. Yeah. Vicky White, the former corrections officer, whose last day was April 29th, which I'm guessing the whole point of this was to take her pension and then go to Mexico, but they ended up going to Evansville, Indiana, which is like get a better compass, idiots. So they found, I don't know, she shot herself allegedly.
Jesus.
And he said something like what did he say? Y'all help my wife. She shot herself in the head and I didn't do it. Well, that's nice. As he was taken into custody.
This is like a way less cool escape from Dannemora story. I can.
Well, this is so. We were on the last podcast. We talked about we weren't sure whether these are lovers or he threatened her and took her away, but apparently he had she said that he had a psych appointment that didn't exist, and then she got sick and it was in Con 6, which also wasn't true. So they had more time, and they just disappeared. But you don't go to Evansville, Indiana, where every single person in the county watches America's Most Wanted every night before they go to bed. You go to Palm Beach, Florida, where people will just think that if you go to Palm Beach, oh, they're just from West Palm Beach. But no one will suspect that you're on the FBI Most Wanted list. Or you go to the Hamptons and then make your way as a ship hand for a yacht. No one will think twice about it. Yeah. Or go to Mexico, which obviously your compass was broken because you ended up in Evansville, Indiana. But the fact that it was her last day, April 29th, and she just ruined her whole life over this piece of shit. I mean, he's not even like Kevin Federline or something in terms of kind of the white trash looking. You know what I mean? He's like Joe Dirt, legit Joe Dirt.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I can't help but think of Arquette every time I read one of these stories, and she does have quite the Arquette-ish look from Escape from Dannemora.
Her teeth make her look like a chipmunk. A little bit.
Yeah, they look like a lot of people. I went to the outskirts of Texas over the weekend, and I laughed. I texted Andrew that everybody looked like an extra in a Robert Rodriguez horror movie. It was bizarre. There's some very, stunners, but for the most part,
there's a lot of Kevin Federlines out there. That are I've seen some women at that Mexican grocery store in the ghetto that are that they could rival what's her name from that Modern Family, what's her name?
With the mom or no, the daughter?
The attractive woman that's married to Ted Bundy. Rebecca Villalobos, whatever, the big tits. What's her name?
I know. Now I'm thinking of the show named Gloria. It's not that. It's
I think her name is Gloria in the show. Is it?
Yeah, in the show. Yeah. In real life, I have no idea.
She's beautiful. There are women like that have a husband that drinks the rent money away. There are women like that, and it's oh my God. And That's.
No. I'm wondering if that's like a Hispanic woman.
I prey on
I have
them. That's predatory of me to think I could just take her and that would be fun. I think I have those thoughts. Just like your wife would just leave with me. I know that would happen. And then like she'd leave her kids and I would take her and you would never see her again and she wouldn't care because she's with me now.
Such a tender look while you're saying this.
I take her to an island, take her to a nice hotel, feed her dinner. I once had a prostitute in Chicago that I'm pretty sure was addicted to meth. And I took her to a steak dinner thing, 'cause, like I was whatever. And
how old were you?
I don't know, like 20, 21. And she was like a really attractive young girl, but like clearly like not refined. And that was like her favorite thing ever. She's like, I've never had a steak dinner before. I'm like, aren't we like in Chicago? Isn't this like a city? Like, why are you talking like that? Okay, just eat your food. Don't show people your teeth. Let's go. Body was banging, but like just not. Which fork do I use?
So
From the outside in. From the outside in. That's how it works.
So when I first moved here, an old friend of mine was
pull out,
dating.
all right? I don't do that.
When I first moved here, an old friend of mine was dating somebody who used to be addicted to meth, like shooting it up, like just crazily addicted to meth, dating a dealer. And it gives like women, like I met her and she's delightful, fully recovered.
Who said there was a problem?
But it gives women like old lady meth face. It's so like she looked so young up until the point that she turned her head. And I was like, man, that's like a real tragedy.
Yeah, I don't go after
like
those. So this girl was headed that way. You could tell.
In the mouth.
The mouth, the teeth were not like, and she was not like charging $80. She was I don't remember what it was, but I always got girls that were like $500 because why not? That was like the minimum. Because I always felt like at that level, they're good. And I know people are going to say, well, what about like sex trafficking? I'm like, I didn't know it. I was 21 years old. If anything, they were going to steal me. It was a group of guys would come in the room and then make me I'd be like
actually, we'll leave you here. We're going to upgrade.
Like, 5 years later, Tim Dillon calls for an escort and I come over, that's what it would have been. They were like,
oh my God.
So yeah, I mean, like, I was like, think about me. I'm 21. Why am I doing this? Gorgeous. And it's like, well, because it's kind of fun. And it's like, also sometimes it's kind of nice to have like some money and be young and like to just like make a girl's night and like not be a completely ugly fat guy. Like the guy that you thought you were and they're independent. This wasn't an agency. The guy you thought you were sleeping tonight, someone that looks like one of your father's friends, is not here. It's someone that looks like you went to high school with. That's kind of reassuring. And it makes their night. So it's like, do you want to call me like Brian or something? You can call me by anyone. Who did you like? I'll be Brian. That's fine. Was his dick bigger than mine? Or should I put on like an extension? We'll play it out. Your rules. I'll pay, but your rules. Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't think that fat women who thought they just had gained a few pounds but are 9 months pregnant, I don't think that they should be allowed to have late term abortions. Does everyone agree on that?
I don't see, but how, for instance, like, and this isn't very valid, but it's a constant paranoia that I'm going to get pregnant because I don't want to right now. So I think I get paranoid. But I had acid reflux all weekend. And I was like, oh my God, this could be it. And maybe I just have like a mild case of something. And what if I just never know? I think that's like a super scary, fucked up thing. What if they just didn't have any symptoms of it? You don't need to have full-blown symptoms of anything.
So once you do know, but you had no symptoms, you can do it.
I mean, if
like the circumstances, incest, rape, none of that apply. It's just like you find out that you're pregnant and you weigh a lot and like you're 8 months pregnant and that you're upset because you can't have deli turkey like you normally do, pounds and pounds of it, which you require to survive because it's bad for the fetus. And you say, no, that's bad for me. I need my meats. And so you get the abortion. You don't think that's wrong?
What? No. I mean,
there's
no.
like, isn't it just like being in the wrong place at the wrong time? If a fetus at 6 months, early premature birth, you know, that thing, 80% of them survive outside the womb. At a minimum, starting at 6 months. 80% is like the minimum. Isn't his death just like at the hands of a doctor who like, oh God, he probably takes the baby out and like cuts off his, I think they cut the spine or something. Wrong place, wrong time, right? Snip. Like if it was 3 months later, the baby, the fetus would be protected by the law of infanticide. So you think about it. It's like a fucked up episode of Friends where like one of the apartments is just like bad things happen there. It's like you die. Like the baby's not paying rent. He's there. You know, you get it. Like there's no like net benefit. He's kind of taking up space. He makes all your dresses not fit right. Maybe the guy that like gave them to you is an asshole. There's a lot of things that like there's no quid pro quo, right? He's not giving you a lot of good.
Right.
You know, so if you don't like the baby, what else really is there? He's making you fat. He's ruining like your sex life. He's making you addicted to pickles. He's doing all these things to fuck with your life. I get it. But if you decide to wait, knowing, if you didn't know and it's late, why don't you just like...
Well, yeah, if you decide to wait and you know, I mean, unless
but once
you're
you
getting
do that, you lie and say, I want an abortion. There's no like rules.
Well, unless you're like somehow prevented, like if it's a cost, if it's that you just like, I don't know. It's for like in Texas, I don't think there's many like, well, in Austin maybe, but
I take a business. I'll create like a party bus, an abortion bus, and just bus people. I'll pay for it. Like, you know, I will pay.
There's a car. No. I saw a car down Central Austin.
Abortion bus? Like the Magic School Bus, but fucked
kind
up?
Of like mine, like a little like Prius, but it said on the back, if you were, if you are going to or like from a vasectomy or an abortion, I will drive you for free. Call me. And it said that. What? I was like, that. It made me laugh, and it also I was like, that's pretty.
What was that show? Menorah the Explorer or
Dora?
Fedora? What is it?
Dora. It's just Dora.
That was Menorah. Okay.
You need to do a Fedora the Explorer.
Like a Jewish
style.
Jewish explorer.
New DWA merch. Fedora the Explorer.
Sounds like Jason Schwartzman as Indiana Jones. Be very like, ooh, sorry. A lot of sorries. Oh, didn't mean to. You okay? Yeah, they belong in a museum, I think, right? Yeah. But yeah, I believe in a woman's right to choose to a degree. It's not black and white. Yeah, I think abortion in general is like really. I've seen abortions. Like I've watched video. They're fucked up. Late term abortions are fucked up. And you can say that like they're not fucked up. It's just a bundle of cells. When it has eyes and hands and it can do patty cake, but you haven't taught it patty cake. It's like, well, he doesn't know how to do patty cake because you haven't told him. But if you told him, how to do it, he could do it. You're gonna cut its spinal cord. That's fucked up. Why don't you just like give it to someone? Give it to like the Brad Pitt or Angelina Jolie to adopt. Give it to like, you know, Ellen DeGeneres or something. Give it to someone, you know. Give it to Tim Dillon.
I know for a fact that if you had something, Andrew, that could even possibly alter you and make you fat, you would be like, I'm not. Like, you
Do you
would
know that I
not
have
carry,
the ultimate,
you wouldn't
like,
care if it had eyes.
Yeah, I have the ultimate story about. I dated a Czech stripper that was gorgeous and like 22.
Wasn't a Kelsey Czech too?
Yeah, but
You have a thing for Czech women.
well, she was Lithuanian, a little bit of Czech, French. I like the Eastern Europeans. I mean, who doesn't? They basically have a monopoly on the modeling industry. Anyways, Michaela got pregnant. So I left her for someone else. Playboy Playmate model. Who shall not be named. College Big Ten edition. Hi. Probably not a mistake, but probably rude and very Brendan Schaub of me. Sorry. But at least I succeeded. Loser. No, I'm just kidding. She got pregnant at my hand, and I can do something, right? And she didn't tell me. We broke up. She wanted to keep the baby because she wanted to have my baby. So let me break this down. Poor immigrant stripper girl does not want to sue me for child support, does not want to take money from me, does not want to bother me because I apparently don't love her. Wants my baby, though. Mine. Not because she wants to have a baby, because she wants to have a baby with my genes. That is flattering. Well, I am flat. That is like really.
I'm
like,
sure you heard that. And
no,
you just
no one has
that.
Tell me someone that has that story. No one has that story. I want to be poor and broke, but I want the baby to have your eyes. Are you kidding? Are you kidding? No one has that story.
All right, I kind of do, and it's called The White Women in My Family Preying on My Dad and Uncles Who Are Very Tall, Handsome Black Men. There you go. That story happens all the time.
Yeah,
said it
but
here,
like,
said it right now. White women,
but like not when the guy's not interested. Like, she loved me so much, she wanted a piece of me, and not in like that audition
exactly
Japanese horror movie way, like where like she's gonna cut off like my thumb and like keep it in a box so she could have a piece of me. She wants to create debt, like 18 years of debt.
Andrew,
with my name on it.
I'm serious that so many white women do this to attractive black men. It's crazy.
But I'm not an attractive black man. I'm me.
You have the height. Maybe a little bit of the physique.
And the penis.
It's
very with an extension.
I know you would like to ride that rainbow of genetics to the very top of your.
No, it is a flattering story. All aside to your lovely, tall, handsome black family. It's just a special story that I have that makes me think of this abortion shit. And I'm like, this hoe, Michaela, she's not a hoe. She's lovely. But I say hoe in an endearing way. This hoe wanted me, wanted my child, but I didn't want her, and she didn't care, and there was no $500, $1,000 an hour lawyer behind it. That is so pure. It's beautiful. When she told me, I was like young. I was like 19. I was like, my mom died, and I got some money, and then I started sleeping with everyone. I didn't have sex in high school. Then all of a sudden became grew into my body. 160 pounds at 6'6", you're gonna look a little awkward. And then you start to fill in, and it works out for you. Worked out for me. My mom died though, so I started making some poor decisions, maybe with like the caliber of my positioning, which is to date like C-list models and strippers, but they were all beautiful women. But yes, I perhaps made an error in judgment and was a bit the prodigal son. But still, when she told me that, I was in one of those. I was in that ML 320 or ML Mercedes. Like my mom got it because they had it in Jurassic Park, and she thought, this is the car from Jurassic Park. Actually, I found out it's from Jurassic Park 2. It's not like Jurassic Park, so it's not original. It's fine. And so she died, so I took the Mercedes, and of course, and I was in there, and she told me over the phone that she had a miscarriage.
Aww.
And it she started crying, and she told me her plan, which is to raise my child, and I started crying,
Jesus.
Thank God. Whew, I'm just kidding. I was crying because I really was that is really intense. I really understood at that age how big of a deal it was for a woman to say, I want your child, even if you don't want me. That is insane. Yeah. And so when I think about women that want an abortion, going full circle here, you may not want your child, but someone will love that child.
Like the movie Juno, right? But however, there are always other complications. For instance, I'll bring up my story because I've had one. I was 17. I didn't want to get stuck in Podunk, Wisconsin my entire fucking life. But that wasn't exactly why I got. So I was put on Accutane because I've struggled with my acne my whole life. Hormones is really the roots of it. PCOS is real, but I had cystic acne and I was put on Accutane, and I'm 17 and I had to sign these waivers do not get pregnant, take the pill, and it was intense. But I was 17 and a fucking didn't take the pill every day, didn't really have I don't know, no IUDs or anything were around. Maybe if they were, maybe not in the outskirts. But anyway, so it showed what a fetus would look like on the package of Accutane. And I kid you not, it was there's a normal baby skull, and then there's an elongated Conehead Accutane baby. And I was so I get pregnant during this time, and I was I am not. All that I could think is I can't have a cone head in the sticks.
So what do you do?
Would have been
so what did you do?
Plus, it drops the IQ. It's not just visually, but
well,
I would.
Of course, having a cone head baby will drop its IQ. So none
for
of
me to take
surface
all
area
of that
skull.
in at 17 and going through a lot of other things, but that especially all of those things at once, that was way too much.
You threw yourself down the stairs.
No, I had to go through a court because I was 17. I was not quite 18, but I was half
They gave
a
you
year
a pill?
away. No, it was a little bit of a lengthy thing. I may have maybe been, I was just under the mark for not being able to get an abortion.
So what did happen?
So my little boyfriend at the time, who was a little bit older and in college, the first year of college, he has to drive all the way back to drive me.
Happened?
I am explaining it. So he has to drive all the way back to drive me to the abortion clinic because they approved it. It all went fine. And
you got an abortion.
Yeah.
You killed the conehead.
Look it up right now. I'm serious.
Accutane babies?
Yes. Look it
Accutane
up.
babies? Okay.
It was, but it scared the shit out of me in general.
Accutane.
And looking back, I'm if it was doing that to a fetus, what the fuck could it do to me? And then Accutane was off the market. It's a terrible thing. It's. Do you see it? Your face right now? I can't tell.
I see babies born with without, I don't know, facial birth deformities.
No, see. Is that a cone? That's a conehead.
That's an Accutane baby. 6 harmful birth defects caused by Accutane. God damn.
Right? I mean, can you understand?
There's a conehead baby. Oh my God. Why wouldn't you love him?
Stop
You wouldn't
it.
love
Yeah,
him?
I would, but at 17, I was like, holy shit.
You could make money
I
off
can't
him.
Stop.
You could pay, people would pay.
That's not nice.
You know what people would do at golf courses? They would just like people that like, are tired and like they need like they don't want to like tee up their ball. They just use your child's head.
Stop.
I'm sorry.
Can
sorry. Jesus.
I know. So
This is really awful.
yeah. So to imagine this, and Google existed back then too.
I'm looking at some fucked up shit. Like this is all. The fact that we take this for acne,
Well,
and it's fine.
No, it's not.
What do you mean? You take Accutane? I can
Not
get Accutane.
anymore.
Yes, you can.
Well, you can get it. I'm just saying there's like lawsuits. There's actual really a lot of physical things.
But once you're off Accutane, you're good and you can get pregnant, right?
You have to wait. There's like a period of time, but it like it scarred me for a while. I was like and I think it's still in there, but it's a bigger thing.
My friend Andrew Barris had acne like you wouldn't believe in high school. Handsome guy. You disagree, but he is very handsome.
What? When did I say that?
You just thought he kind of looked, I don't know, whatever.
I think all your friends kind of look a little Wonder Bready. True.
What is
I
Wonder
mean,
Bread?
it means like classic white fellas.
What's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with it. You assume that because I'm not like in awe of them that I
He's a
think
handsome guy.
He is handsome.
But you kind of were like, eh. So I always thought he looked like an Abercrombie model, but
he does.
Okay. So because he's not black. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, not everyone can be. No one can be perfect. Okay, he can't control that his parents were Wonder Breads or pumpernickel or. Actually, that would be brown. Pumpernickel is really good. It's dark. No one talks about pumpernickel. Next time you go to your local bakery, try pumpernickel. This episode of the BenBen Show /DWA is brought to you by pumpernickel, the most underrated form of bread sandwich bread. It's very, very good. Try it. I have been drinking. But Accutane babies. Yeah, this is really fucked up. I see one girl with like a weird philtrum. It's like
and not only that, like visually, but like also like the IQ, like it messes with their brain. And I was like, my God, like none of it could I have done even with a child without disabilities. But yeah, I couldn't think of it. And it shortened, I think, lifespans too. It was so much to swallow, like take in.
I would have liked to have seen your Accutane baby just because of just out of curiosity. It would have
What if I just
maybe it would have looked like Scottie Pippen.
Like lifted a boob and its like head pops out.
Scottie Pippen's a very. Maybe it would have looked like him.
No, it would have looked like the Subway guy on Ghost. Remember that guy used to freak me out when I was little.
Oh, you mean like you're not? He kind of reminds me of what's his name, the comedian Stephen Wright, but it's not Stephen Wright.
You're right.
Oh, it's Jeffrey Tambor. That's no way.
You're not pushing it. You think I jumped in front of the train? Fuck you.
Fuck you. And then he runs away. That's what happens, right? Yeah. It's at one point, the late, what's his name?
Patrick
Swayze dies.
God, I forgot he died there in a second.
Spoiler alert, in Ghost, he dies. And he meets Jeffrey Tambor.
No, I meant in real life he actually died.
Yeah, he did. Well, so, yeah, sorry. And he meets Jeffrey Tambor playing himself. No, I'm just kidding, on a subway, like who's dead, and he teaches him these tricks about how to move shit. He's like, you gotta. You think your hands that what's wrong with you? You gotta think deep down. You push from your gut. And he talks about like, I remember this very well. It was very good. And it's like,
No,
and then it's like, it comes out and it's just like, yeah. And he kicks a can, and then the can Patrick Swayze kicks, when he finally gets it right, goes through Jeffrey Tambor's head. And then the scene's like very exciting.
Your ability to remember.
And the subway car goes by, and Jeffrey Tambor looks at him and goes, "Way to go, kid! Way to go!" That's exactly what happens. That exactly is the script. End scene. That's exactly what happens. Jeffrey
Tambor. Like when you didn't get laid and have like a lot of friends in high school, you just memorize the movies and music.
I just studied actually data analytics, a lot of sports analytics stuff, and I actually it helped me with betting later on.
Jeffrey Tambor reminds me of the grandpa in Arrested Development. What's his name?
He actually, the way he talks in this is very much like Nicolas Cage in Moonstruck. I lost my hand. You know,
I've never seen that.
Because like, why would anyone love him? Because he lost his hand.
I don't know, but all that I know is that Jeffrey Tambor, he used to scare the shit out of me in this movie when I was little and saw it. I was like,
"Get off my train! Get off my train!"
I love this guy. It's great. I love how he's dead and he like looks over people's shoulders to read what they're reading, which is so fucking annoying. But it's not annoying if dead people do it because you don't know they're there, unless you're the little kid from Sixth Sense. What's
I wonder
his name?
if anybody's
Haley
ever
Joe
dressed
Osment.
up as him for Halloween.
Haley Joe Osment's like obese now.
Is he? Is he a little puffy?
Are you fucking kidding me? That costume would be so good because you'd have to dedicate your hair. You'd have to shave your head or wear. Oh my! I could. Hold on, let me see if I could. And this is not on video, but.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Stop. Oh, you do have it. You got it just right. Oh my god.
I wonder if the writers for the Matrix writers like got something from this scene. I feel like they did. Like,
oh yeah, for that.
Like you think when Lawrence Fishburne talks to Keanu Reeves, it's like, you think that's air you're breathing? There's something about that scene when they're fighting, and like he doesn't understand that like this isn't real. It reminds me of this, and the fact that like Jeffrey Tambor is dressed all in black also is interesting, and it's also a subway scene, which is also very reminiscent of Matrix. I wonder if the Matrix is derived from Jeffrey Tambor and Ghost. Maybe it is.
Maybe that's the roots of it. Whew.
I used to drink these like hard seltzers before they existed. They were like Mike's Hard Lemonade, and I called it reverse fermentation, which is adding sugar to alcohol. And I would tell people it would give me a horrible stomach ache because you shouldn't like sugary drinks in general.
Yeah.
Like horrible stomach ache. Like I would get like rosacea, I would flush, and then like no matter, even if I didn't eat that day, I would have to go to the bathroom and sit on the toilet for like an hour. And then I'd always, if it was like a girl, I'd come out sweaty and I'd be like, "Oh, I'm fine. I'm sorry. I was doing lots of Coke. I'm good now." She's like, "Oh, can I have some?" I'm like, "No, I did all of it. I'm selfish."
Truly, I did all of it.
Yeah, I did all the Coke. That, oh my God, I remember that. So good. I can't. Can I say that? I miss the girls that I was dating going to the bathroom to do blow and coming back to the table. It's so nice to just like, I'm going to go powder my nose, but they're actually powdering their nose. They're actually doing blow and they're gorgeous. And they come back to the table and they like kind of rub it. And I'm like, that's my girl. Like there's something about like
God,
you
Andrew.
having a second away from your girlfriend or like a girl you're on a date with when she goes to do some coke, and like for me, someone like me who's a bit more like eccentric, maybe they need to get up like step up a level to get to my place, and like they go do some coke, and then like you have some reprieve away, like the date's on pause. You kind of like look around the room. And it's not the same as the bathroom. You don't feel guilty because they're doing drugs. So you get to do something fun, which is look around and pervade the room and say, is there any other top tier ass here that might interest me? Or better yet, are there any dates that are going really badly where I think that I could just literally do that thing that happened in the movie, was Arnold Schwarzenegger when he like the Devil movie? Where like the character that plays the psychiatrist in Hereditary, the father of whatever he comes out of the bathroom after the devil takes him, and he goes up to the table and just starts cupping the girl's breasts and making out with one of the wives.
Wasn't that Al Pacino?
Was it Al Pacino?
Yeah, and it wasn't even
No, it wasn't Al Pacino.
Schwarzenegger.
It was End of Days with the guy with the psychiatrist from Hereditary that used to have a show on Showtime. Also being a psychiatrist.
Really?
Yeah.
No, look this up. It was not.
No,
End of
it was
Days.
not Al Pacino in Devil's Advocate. This was End of Days. He comes out of the bathroom.
It's the same scene though in Devil's Advocate. He comes out and he just starts like.
No. He has sex with a mom and a daughter at the same time. Also kind of naughty in Devil's Advocate. That's.
Look at I swear to God. A redhead, right, at the dinner table. I remember.
No, she's not necessarily redhead. The point is, he's a normal guy, goes to the bathroom. He has his wife. So in the real life version, I see a guy who's having trouble with this girl. I come over. My girl is doing coke in the bathroom. I grab the guy's date's like left breast, caress it softly, not like hard. Just like I'm here. Let her know. Like it's like support. And then I massage, nice like hand on the small of her back, pull her neck back maybe with some of her hair, and kiss her, and then maybe whatever, just a little squeeze, kiss her on the neck, and then the guy's just like, hey, that's my date. I'm like, yeah, how's it going? Not too good. And then I go back to my table. And then my girl comes out, who's better looking than his girl, and he just knows, alpha. I'll just be quiet and drink my or eat my tiramisu with my small spoon. With my small spoon.
Oh my God.
God.
Is that how we're gonna end it? Can we?
I don't know. Do you want to talk more about abortion? Do you have any other like thoughts about abortion or like?
Well, I just think it's. I think that it's harder to know what's going on, and so like you have to really commit to being ready for doing that, and I think it's up to women.
You mean
no matter
to get
what,
pregnant
period.
or to get an abortion or both?
You have to commit to like.
It's gonna ruin the sex life of a lot of young people.
Raising a life, like
Plan B is not going away.
And I think
breakfast in bed, breakfast of champions, like Wheaties.
It's like, I think it's like swallowing the sun, because men get to normally run away from their kids. Women don't often do that.
Sarah
much.
was raised in a black family, so she's talking specifically about fatherless rates in the African American community.
No, I'm
just kidding.
No, I'm just saying, like, I think women get a lot of pressure and to be not only good moms, but, the best and all. It's very pressurized, and it's for good reason. You're raising life, but also it should be up to a woman if she wants to do that, because sometimes, and
objectively,
sometimes it's all on by yourself,
objectively, like no matter what, like in all circumstances a woman gets to choose.
Yes.
Even if she just turns it on
Because
at 7 months and says, fuck it.
Andrew, if this was flipped on you right now,
No.
we could ask. You would be like,
here's the fucked up thing. At 7 months, you wanted to have the baby, then you decide, I don't want to. But in order to have it, you say like, well, I was raped and I thought about having it, and then now I can't go through with it.
It shouldn't even take that. It shouldn't even take lying or anything. You should just...
No matter, any time. Even though at 7 months, the baby's fully formed.
It was never a thing at 7 months that you could get an abortion unless it was life-threatening.
That's not true. That's completely not true. There's late-term abortions in many states. It's completely untrue.
Late term is like 3-4 months. I was a late term once.
No, late-term
so
abortions, like third trimester abortions is what I'm talking about, are common.
I don't know about that because I was like,
no. Well, forget that. Let's pretend that there weren't. You're saying that's okay too.
Yes, if it's something especially where it could harm the baby or harm the mom.
Well, it definitely harms the baby when you kill it.
Well, to like bring it into this world, into like some sort of, I don't think people are. I think you need to have to want that life, and if you don't want that life, then that's fine.
Do you think that do you know where the term pro-choice comes from? Do you know where that phrase comes from, actually?
No.
During the abolitionist movement.
And where did you get this information?
No, this is true. You can look this up. Pro-choice during the abolitionist movement. In the South, slave masters were given a pro-choice determination, which in other words, they had the right to emancipate their slaves or not. It was up to them. So the interesting thing is that the slaves that had the right not to be slaves didn't get to make that choice, just the slave master. So when you apply it, which is wrong, right? But when you apply it to a fetus, it's like, oh, well, no, the child has no advocate. But if you were to have a 2-year-old child or a 1-year-old or a 6-month child and it was raped by a 25-year-old man, that child had no advocate, had no ability to consent, and yet could not vocalize those appropriations. But the state, the federal government, protects that child. But at 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, so far it has not. I think that all circumstances of abortion, this is where I stand, all circumstances should not be treated equally. I just don't think they're all the same.
Yeah, but I think you really need to recheck your facts on some of those things, like late term and all that. Late term
abortions happen.
Yeah, if there is a threat.
No, it's not true. There are many states that offer late term abortions at the third trimester.
That is not what I was told whatsoever.
You were 17 and didn't have the right to do much of anything. It's a little bit different.
I remember what I was told about it.
Okay, well, let's end the show with this part right here, where I school a woman on late-term abortions.
I think if it was flipped around on men, I think there would be a shitload of abortions. There would just be so many. I think everybody just needs to lay off.
Allowed, no restrictions. Alaska.
Now say how many.
Allowed, no restrictions. Colorado.
How many months is a late
allowed,
abortion?
no
You're
restrictions.
Not answering that. How many months?
What do you mean?
You were saying it was something ridiculous, like several.
No, there's many states where you're allowed to have a late term abortion in the third trimester.
Wow.
You want to know? You wanted to know what late term means in terms of this? Late is not precisely defined, and medical publications say different thresholds, typically ranging from 20 to 28 weeks. So 6 months-ish and later.
How is that 6 months?
It's 5 months and later.
And when is it when there's a threat?
No, so there's those. This is
to protect mothers.
I read this, but there are states like Alaska, Colorado, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New Mexico. So I'm not wrong. Oregon, Rhode Island. So I'm not wrong. Vermont.
I don't think I do understand how you would be like, if it's that like far, why not just like go through with it, give it away, whatever. But like,
also,
almost like
this isn't to protect the mother's life. A lot of these are to protect the mother's health too, which means that the risk that the birth could cause harm to the mother, her hemorrhaging, applies. In many cases, this is applicable.
Like I know a very close family member who had an ectopic.
Yeah,
pregnancy.
I understand. I
So
know
that-
the fallopian tubes.
Yeah. So I think, oh my God.
I'm drinking. This episode of the DWA is brought to you by pH 84 Icelandic glacial water. Glacial water.
Just look over at you in conversation.
The cucumber accents the water in such a way, and it's Icelandic, so it makes you think of Vikings, and the new movie Northman or Norseman, come from the same director as The Witch, which I'm very excited to see. Although his other film he's more than one, but the most recent one, The Lighthouse, I was a bit indifferent to, and was under a form of sporadic delusions or hallucinations due to COVID. Delta variant evidently caused that. And it was hard to watch, but I do think Robert Pattinson is a very attractive young man, albeit the most recent Batman was atrocious. I am shocked that people think that it was good.
I know.
I am shocked that people think that it was the best, better than Christopher Nolan Batmans or the Michael Keaton Batmans. And furthermore,
What is happening?
I don't really think that Mr. Pattinson carried that movie. It was very derivative, very emo, which isn't particularly sexy. I do like the fact that the muscle car was the Batmobile was a muscle car. I think that's very different and interesting. And I do like the boots, but for the most part, I don't like my Bruce Wayne wearing mascara. I don't think that's particularly attractive.
And he was all sulky.
He's very sulky, very, very like, I'm going to my room, I'm going to pout, and when I get out, everything better be right as rain, and I better have my candies, mummy. That's not very, like, cool or interesting. And the Batman being very, like, passive, like, hey, tell me where they are. I won't tell you, Batman. I'm Paul Dano. Hey, you tell me, please. It's important. I know, but I'm the bad guy. I'm not supposed to tell you yet because the running time's 96 minutes and it's only 82. Where are they? I'm not telling. Sorry.
Yeah, so I think that was he's like a millennial Batman. There's definitely a team of like
I wish that if you got an abortion and it was illegal, that emo Batman rounded you up and brought you to Gotham Asylum or Arkham. Arkham. That's where the prison is.
Defect that was like
bat
wings,
it's like
loose skin.
You killed your Conehead. It would have been one of the. It would have made Batman 4. I would have made millions defending Gotham against Conehead from Sara.
His next arch enemy would have been your Conehead baby, your Accutane baby, and you ruined it because you had to get an abortion because someone gave you some good dick and you were like,
Danny DeVito would play him and the Penguin.
That'd be funny if you like met Danny DeVito off of like Seeking Arrangement. And he's like, Oswald Cobblepot. and it's like, oh, he's so sexy, and then that's the guy that got you pregnant, and it's like you're like, Your Honor, I don't want to give birth to a dolphin. He's probably gonna end up like that baby in The Fly 2. I really don't want that. Okay, fine. He's like, it would have been good. It would have been a good arch enemy.
He used to freak me out when I was younger too.
People talk about like Colin Farrell's performance in the Batman. I'm like, yeah, it's fine. It's no Danny DeVito as Oswald Cobblepot.
Yeah.
I mean, I really want people to like, think about it. Yeah, true. Oswald Cobblepot is a short-statured, deformed person, and yes, Danny DeVito is a short-statured, perhaps subjectively speaking, deformed person. So you think, oh, it's not that far. It's not that far of a leap. But who are you really then like giving credit to? The performance or the makeup team? Because Danny DeVito, just the way he did it, and Colin Farrell, I think at least on par. I think it's nuts. You're going to tell me that Danny DeVito, up to that point, you know how depraved he was? He did Twins with Arnold Schwarzenegger. You're going to tell me that Danny DeVito had that in him? You're going to tell me that, like, you're going to compare Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman performance, where she actually, like, did shit, to the, like, random nature of whatever, like, are you going to go my way? That Catwoman?
Zoe Kravitz.
Yeah. And I got to know, yeah. Catwoman, what do you do? I don't really know what the fuck you do. But anyway, the DWA podcast is not against abortion per se, though I think in many respects abortion is complicated, and for the most part should be taken not with a grain of salt, especially second and third trimester abortions. I do understand in cases of rape and incest, absolutely. But I don't necessarily think that those abortions should automatically be bequeathed to the mother if they wait, provided they're not under duress during that time. The context is everything. It's a very complicated issue. You wouldn't have me if my mother got her way. So you're welcome.
Really?
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. Go to Deplorar.com, DEPLORAR for DWA merch. Patreon.com. Subscribe. Support the show. And talk shit about Brendan Schaub on Reddit. That also helps support the show, because the sooner that people realize that he has no talent and I should be where he is, the better for everyone. Thank you very much. Just kidding. He's sure a nice guy. And there's nothing wrong with like hitting on women and like asking them to give you blowjobs in their car. That's perfectly fine. The fact that a woman says no doesn't automatically make it rape. Like that's that's not the thing. It's like, oh, you're a horrible person because she said no. Think of all the women that gave blowjobs that we've never heard about.
He just
that could have been rape.
Fun of the like. They were
making fun of him, right? So what
are you talking about? Like,
do you remember the Me Too movement early on, where like they were talking about
ripping on him in a
men
really
that
funny
approach
way.
unwanted sexual advances are the same as like sexual assault? Like that was being tossed around, like going up to a girl at the bar and her rejecting you. Like we were supposed to think in our head, that girl's going to reject me, so I shouldn't even try. That was one of the things that was talked about that was crazy during the Me Too, like the height of it. So Brendan Schaub, you shot your shot, but it didn't work out. Annie Letterman, way to go to not come in your pants to Brendan Schaub and all his ability and stand your ground and be like, I'm good. That's fine too. That's your right. I don't really like you, girl, that forced Aziz Ansari to move to London because of all the stress that he had up for giving you head, and then like he wanted you to give him a blowjob, and you're like, I'm good. That's a little excessive. That's a little weird. I think anytime a guy gives you head, goes down on you, and then you accuse him of unwanted sexual advances after he's made you come, is kind of a lot for me to just take in. So anyways, have a good week. It's Tuesday morning. I'll post this. It'll be on Tuesday. And I don't know what I'll call it, but it'll be something, festive as per usual. Stay fabulous.
There's a lot of titles in this one. Let me just say that. You're going to have a tricky time with this one. with the headline.
Coneheads. That's it. That's the title. Guys, bye bye.